On another thing, Alex,
ask the NDC
yes. I want to switch to an area that both parties address when it comes to the governance, a constitutional review.
And both parties don't address it.
Well, I'll come to that. I'll come to the specifics. As I illustrated, the MPP says undertake constitutional reviews and amendments, so they will do something about it. You say you establish a constitutional review implementation.
Let me be clear. You made some statements which are don't give the full picture.
Okay, which is?
The first thing is that it was the NDC, and I agreed with you on that. Fantastic. That actually brought about constitutional review.
Yes, and yet, when you had the opportunity to govern, you failed to implement.
No, we didn't fail to implement. When John Mahama came, they set up a constitutional implementation committee. Just when it was supposed to take off, the matter of whether we had the right to create a constitutional review committee provision was sent to the Supreme Court. So everything had to halt. It was in the Supreme Court for well over a year and a bit. So at the time when the ruling came that what we had done was legitimate, we were 11 months to the next election.
11 long months.
Well, you will say so.
But it is 11 long months.
No,
Alex.
Because you yourself have just said here that a lot of those provisions require referendums. It's not something, and you see the problem.
But there were lots of low-hanging fruits in there that you plucked.
No, that is not the case. Because you see, part of the problem they had when we got into this argument about whether you should have partisan MCs and MCDCs. That wasn't the only argument. The whole argument about that issue was you shouldn't create a situation where the power still remains with the presidency. So if you don't do an amendment which stops him from still appointing everybody else in the MDCs or the metropolitan or the district offices, what will happen is that they will, whoever is voted or not voted will always be outvoted in this thing by the what's it called? The appointees of government.
In 11 months from actually doing something about
because you have to put them. You don't do one. When you touch one, it affects another. This is what the Constitutional Implementation Committee was doing. You touch A, you must look at M and you must look at K. Because A affects K and M. If you don't put the three together and go for a referendum, you will not get, in fact, you create a problem within the Constitution. So that was why it was not done at the time, because you couldn't do them peacefully.
So my question is,
yes,
in 11 months, what did you do?
No, we said, when the matter came out of court, it was clear that you need almost a 2-year period to go through the process. And at an election year...
We're doing a wholesale review?
Let me ask you a simple question. Why is it that they say that any major reforms before an election should be done not in the year of the election, in the electoral process? You should do it before that. Because everybody knows the temperature and the pressure in an election year. You don't do constitutional review changes in an election year. For me, it's common sense. It's not rocket science. You do it in the first 3 years of government. That's when you do constitutional review. If it's at the tail end, when you are finishing, you've already started and finishing, and its process is on, yes. You don't start constitutional review changes in an election year. Definitely not. And there are major changes. You have to look at the report of the constitutional review. Then you see that it wasn't one of these simple things you do. So as a constitutional review, the only party that is serious about constitutional review and wants it done properly so that we don't have conflict within certain sections of the Constitution is the NDC.
Okay.